the planned program is done. So let's open it up to questions and discussions. How about that?
All right, so Mel's going to go first, and then we'll go to Elizabeth. Go ahead, Mel.
Hi, you can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Mel. I'm an addict, and I just have a quick question because I'm not as experienced as other members, but I'm just curious, how would we go about certain ideas here without going against tradition, specifically the dating platform advertisements? Because I know in the history of NA we've done like billboards and stuff, but that's not really tied to a specific, like a billboard is just a billboard. So would that go against traditions? Because we're specifically tying it to an, like we're like being kind of endorsed by Grindr, Tinder, etc.
Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, so I'm the PR chair for the Central Ohio area. Our interpretation of the traditions is that no, that's not a violation, that is just public information. It might be to a targeted audience. But we, every year we're in the African American Male Wellness Walk. We have a table there. Every year we have a presence at the Gay Pride Parade. There are a number of culturally specific events that we go to try to reach a target population, like youth centers and stuff like that. So we're not trying to convince them to join us or telling gays that you're going to get clean if you get here. We're just letting them know that we're here, and that's one place where we can find a lot of them in the same place as through a dating app.
Thanks, Paul. Anybody, does that answer your question, Mel?
Yes, it did. Thank you. And I didn't want to be like disrespectful or anything. It was just,
No.
Like I said, I'm not as experienced as other members, and the only point of advertising that I've ever seen or experienced in my area was just billboards.
Okay, thank you. Listen, we always do need to keep, every once in a while, we lose sight of them, and thank you for bringing that up. Elizabeth,
and if I can I chime in just one little bit? If all we did was gay stuff, then that would be an issue. But because we have a broad approach to getting information out to the public, we feel that we're not, singling out for benefit one specific group. I'll pass.
Okay, Elizabeth, what do you got? Let me unmute her. Hang on, Elizabeth, you're muted. I just asked to unmute. Yeah, all right, go ahead.
Oh, Elizabeth Addick. Mine is a more like general, open-ended question. How do we proceed with creating a subcommittee with PR, specifically an LGBT outreach committee, to communicate, open communications with agencies and institutions and beyond that are existing outside the public relations context now? Like, when do we do this, and how do we do it with PR?
That's absolutely an excellent question. And Shane, would you want to answer? Go ahead.
Elizabeth, that's a great question. And you know what, we're looking at the committee, and this is kind of what I would consider like the fellowship development umbrella, because we are a group of people, and when you think of a service committee, you think of, who does it serve? Traditionally, it's where is it located? That's the first thing, because you put a name on it, and traditionally it's attached to an area, a region, a zone, but there have been so many virtual services that have come up. I think that we would like to see this become, a fellowship development committee that would cover all of this. It would be outreach, public relations, try to find a way to be accountable to a service body, whether it's a zone. There are several friendly zones around the world that would allow us to participate and be accountable with them virtually. And we could all help one another, because I think that's the issue in the past, is that we haven't had the mentorship that we needed where we lived, or the people that were excited about the projects. But we can see from today how excited everyone is. We've all got a little, we've all got some skin in the game, so we're we're ready to do some work. So I think that we are looking at one of another and saying, how do we move forward? So, you know, Lewis had the idea that before we get here next month, that we have some project plans actually put together and some kind of strategic plans. So we need to know from you, if we could do something for you, what would it be? You know, and that's what we've produced in these documents today. So does that help?
Yes,
Well,
it's very much informative, and I think we're all waiting and anticipating and wanting to create, you know, like a subcommittee, you know, to go ahead and do what our mission may be for all of us, the LGBT.
And Gal looks like he's ready to jump in because they have a committee already. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, that's an excellent question, Elizabeth. You know, I would, based on our experience, you know, I would recommend that you would pursue creating a regional LGBTQ committee. When you do subcommittees, you have to answer to that committee that oversees that particular activity. And a lot of times, you know, because we are trying to, we're considered a special interest group, you know, it's going to be very difficult to get the votes that we need to have those committees spend funds on our community. It really is. We're always going to be outnumbered. So having a regional committee gives us the flexibility that we need to create our own activities, outreach efforts, and we work with the other committees to do that. We actually have a vote on those committees automatically. So I would encourage you to go to your region and get a copy of their guidelines, see what it takes to create a standing committee, and then go from there. Once you understand that process, then you'll see what's needed to create the committee itself.
oh crap. I'm no longer regional facilitator. Guess who is now going to make us proposal to, oh geez, one thing I do want to point out, and it was brought together, you know, we are not part of an area or a group or a region within this little committee. I mean, we're about as grassroots as you can be, although most people around here are involved in this. And part of the challenge that I've noticed along recovery is that we do tend to be tied to our own local areas, and we're not allowing ourselves to use resources that are plentiful all over the world. And
now,
so,
you know, Udo had his hand up, and I think
go ahead, Udo.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Udo. I didn't see your hand. You need to unmute.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Some of you might know I was the Fellowship Development Chair for quite some years at European Delegates meeting. And I have to say, on this part of the planet, I even don't know if there's any LGBT committee existing in Europe, maybe in UK, maybe in Paris, but that's it. But I know that there's a huge interest to get some experienced material PR stuff from existing LGBT committees. I know you have some. I would like to get it, and maybe we can announce it or post it on our Facebook group, because I mean, we are in Europe, it looks like we are advanced, but I even don't remember that this is going on in any region like this, you know. So that would be good that we can share this. If some of your committees have material or whatever experience we have.
Yeah, in the greater New York region, actually Manhattan area has had a standing unity committee for a number of years. That was one of my speakers at the first panel. He actually formed that committee. So they do have documents, and I can reach out and get those. That committee is still existing. Now it's like an events committee. It's not a public relations committee, but at least there's a start there.
Right. And also, there are resources at NAS. You know, we can reach out to Jane as the main PR person at NAS, and they do have some resources, though I don't know what they have that's targeted to our community, but they do have some resources that we can use. Thank you. Anybody? Oh, go ahead. Who else wants to? I'm looking around. Any other hands? Bobby.
Yeah, I'll say something. Although it may seem a bit rogue, but when we read the group booklet, it talks about areas, regions, and all, you know, down the service structure were created to maintain services. And they're created because it could potentially take away from the group's ability to maintain a message of recovery in their meetings. Okay. I say that because, you know, groups can do projects to address these issues in their area, as long as they're maintaining a message of recovery in their groups. That's all I have to say.
Thanks so much. Any other hands? I can't see. I don't see any more hands raised in the chat or in the participants.
Thomas from Germany.
I got him.
Okay, go ahead, Thomas.
Hi, thanks. I really like the question about the traditions, and this is how I grew up in NA, that, you know, whenever we talk about traditions, we talk about, isn't this violating tradition X or Y? You know, it's always about violation, but actually I think all of us are here because we take tradition 5 seriously. It's not just, you know, breaking something, but it's about building something. And it's so obvious that, you know, when I look at my home group, I'm the only gay guy there. So where are the other guys? I don't know. You know, and so many, and like, you know, we don't have a single transgender member here in Bochum, my city. But of course they exist. We don't reach them. So, you know, what we're here to do is to really live that fifth tradition. And that's, you know, it's not about violation. It's about, you know, bringing the message. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas.
Hey, can I speak to that a little bit, Lewis?
Sure.
You know, Mel's question, I think, was great, and I think maybe why Mel might have understood. You know, we all know that there's going to be somebody who's going to say something, right? That just, you know, we just hear these kind of parrots that parrot out shit. And it happened to me in a meeting in Utah yesterday. I mentioned this workshop, and the guy started yakking about it's you know, violates traditions and all this stuff, and I wasn't going to argue with him, but I do think it's useful sometimes to show people who are privileged, you know, and I am a privileged individual, you know, I'm a white male from the South in the United States, right? Heterosexual male. And it took time for me, I had to see some comparison. People had to present information to me so that I could compare and contrast, for me to identify my broken belief systems. Like, you know, I don't see a billboard or, you know, I see digital media, right? Somebody mentions Grindr. To me, it's just digital media.
Okay.
You know, and I'm sorry, dude. Something's going on. Somebody's in the account. What I'm getting at is a billboard, you know, Facebook, all these things, all these tools we use for communication is what they really are. They're all the same. And so that's what I would encourage you to present when people ask questions about that. I would say, well, what is your perspective on Facebook? What is your perspective on Twitter? What is your perspective on your regional website and how you use that? Does that perspective line up with what you're saying to me today? Or maybe do you need to reevaluate your belief system about the traditions? Mm-hmm. And a lot of times saying it in a manner like that, they'll have to think a little bit. They may not want to admit maybe that they might be wrong, but it's really hard to not admit it when you're alone and you do the inventory, you know. So that's all I wanted to say.
Paul?
So one of the things we did here quite a few years ago to kind of start laying the groundwork was have a regardless of party and focus on that statement from our preamble. And we had it funded by 5 different groups, 2 of them LGBTQ, 1 of them youth, 1 of them inner city, and I think the other one was aging and recovery. So we kind of had a broad swath of different subgroups within NA. And then it was hosted by one of the inner city meetings, and we had 2 panels of 6 people each, and on each panel were LGBTQ people as well as old, as well as Black, and people could ask questions anonymously or they could ask them openly. So we had a coffee can go around, people could write questions or they could stand up and ask them. And then we also combined this as a fundraiser by the PR subcommittee for COACNA, the every 2-year conference. Half of the money went to them and half of the money went to PR. So it involved a whole lot of people, and it was a way of allowing LGBTQ people a voice in front of people that they wouldn't normally speak in front of. And it worked out really well. We didn't raise a ton of money, but that wasn't really what our goal was. Our goal was to do more fellowship education, and it was pretty successful. I'll pass.
Okay, I would like to comment that I've actually written extensively on how our traditions allow this. I think Lark might have seen it. And frankly, I don't want to lecture too much, but you know, our fellowship is focused too much on the second half of the first tradition without focusing on the first half. And the assumption has always been that our common welfare is identical, but it really isn't. And so I've always thought this thing is actually consistent with our traditions, but I don't want to raise that now. But if you want, I can certainly, maybe for the next one, I'll rewrite my thing from a diatribe to a more better informal thing. But all right, anything else that we wish to raise? Any other comments? Udo. Unmute.
Hello? Yeah, I just want to get it out of my mind, because also what Thomas and what Louis said, you know, I did service on certain levels like EDM, also word service in workshops. And what really strikes me that on a certain service level, it seems like being absolutely outside issue, you know. So it's like a secrecy. The moment you represent NA, it's an outside issue, you know. And I was 10 years at EDM. At the beginning, I had a gay friend, and most of the time I was the only one in the room, and it was more or less not appropriate. It felt odd. And I don't know why this is in service on certain levels, that people really shut up with showing who they am. Doesn't mean they have to talk about it, you know. I mean, I think you get the point, but there's a kind of a secrecy that it's an outside issue, and it penetrated me sometimes and made me very insecure. Yeah. So I just want to get this out. I don't know what your experience is, but it's mine.
Thank you, Udo. Yeah, great point. Anybody else have any things they wish to say? Any jokes, any songs? Okay, well, not hearing seeing any more hands, and I'm scrolling.
Well, you know what, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say this was an amazing, amazing workshop. I am so proud of like what went on here today. I mean, I'm actually very moved about it. And I'm one of those people that I got no problem. Like my region meets every single month. I mean, I already have something I'm bringing there. I got no problem like having my region, you know, sign off on a request to our zone for this FD2 to kind of add this. Our zone just voted in a standing FD subcommittee, like literally like last weekend. So they're just kind of sitting there like the Maytag repairman right now, waiting for something to do. So I am like that person that. So I just want to say, everybody that showed up, I am so proud and happy that you guys are here, and I can't wait until the next event. So
okay,
thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks, Lavina. I've got a hand from Mel. Mel, you want?
Mel wants to roll.
Mel, did you want to speak?
Hi. Yeah. So I'm Mel. I'm an addict. I just want to share like an experience that I did have, and how it changed and brought a positive change to one of the meetings that I attend in my area in New Jersey. So we had a situation where there was a member sharing about their transition and about how their use of the needle for their hormone treatment actually triggered them and made them feel like they were using again, and they shared about their transition and their struggle. And another member who did not believe in unity or anything like that, and they kind of they attacked that person, and it became physical. We did have to get police involved. And so what the meeting did is we had like a group conscience, and we made sure that the person that shared, they felt safe. And so from this point forward, we always, and it's adapted from the IP number 29, an introduction to NA meetings, we share the safety statement, which is we strongly discourage any harassment, threats, or disturbing behavior before, during, and after our meetings. This includes unwelcome sexual and romantic advances towards members, especially newcomers. Our meetings are for sharing NA recovery. It is the responsibility of all our group members to help maintain an atmosphere in which every addict is safe to recover. If you feel harassed or threatened, share your concerns with the meeting leader or another trusted servant. And ever since we started doing that safety statement, you know, it has actually made a positive change. And you know, so I just wanted to share that and you know, just say I'm so grateful and glad that you guys are hosting and taking time out of your day to give us this education and have this very important discussion, because, you know, it needs to be said and it needs to be had. So thank you.
Thank you, Mel.
Thanks,
Does
Mel.
anybody have anything they wish to add? If not, I'd like to close with the moment of silence and the third step prayer. It's a Shane, can you unmute? How do I unmute? Can you unmute everybody?
Second. All right, everybody can unmute themselves now.
I was muted. Moment of silence, the actual sufferer inside and outside of this meeting, followed by the third step prayer. Many of us have said,
Take my will and my life,
Show me
guide
how
me in my recovery, show me how to live. Please.
clean and serene.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
thank you, everyone.
Woohoo.
Everyone, could have done a poll.
Thank you so much for coming, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for your participation.
So we should have done a poll about how everybody found out about the event, so we know how to do better.
You know something? I think we hit this, I forgot.
I found out on Facebook. Somebody commented, there was one person in the quarantined NA Philadelphia group, I believe it was. Mm-hmm. And they made this very impactful personal post. And they shared how we need more inclusive groups in NA and whatnot. And then in the comments below, somebody shared this workshop and they said no password needed and all are welcome from everywhere. And so I asked them, I was like, hey, I'm in New Jersey and, you know, is this open? And they were like, yeah, of course. So I'm glad I came.